Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to the Overwatch Watchers Brawl. I hate Widow, this is 3.007, and I'm joined by Sir Waltham.
Hello, and I also hate Widow.
Didn't see that coming at all. Now, we have a very special treat for you tonight. It's Team Ragnor and Bulldogs, a very scary match for both, as both are in the loser's bracket. However, before we get started, Sir Waltham has a very special pregame interview.
Yes, I am sitting here with the off-tank for Team Ragnor, as well as their co-captain, I'm told, Toopsock. Toopsock, go ahead and say hello to the people.
Hey guys, what's up?
All right, now your team is going to be going into this game here, Toopsock. It is the loser's bracket, so it is a little bit higher stakes than we might like to be seeing on the other side of the map. Are you guys perhaps feeling any pressure, or is it pretty much just kind of another day at the office for you guys, so to speak?
We have a little bit of pressure, but for the most part, we've done review from last game, and we're pretty confident that we can win this.
Fantastic. Now, you said you were doing a little bit of review. Was there any kind of investigations you guys did into Ragnor, since there's a couple of VODs available floating around for these teams, or was it just kind of a focusing on yourselves situation?
Mainly, it was a lot more focusing ourselves and, correcting any little mistakes that we've made, and I've also done a little bit of review into the other teams.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I certainly hope we can see that onto the field. Now, looking forward, if you guys do win this, there will still be quite a climb for you, but certainly not out of the realm of possibility. Do you guys have any, goal lines that you're trying to get to, or are you just trying to make it as far as possible, have some fun? What's your goal here?
I think our main goal is just to try to get as far as possible.
All right, well, certainly an admirable goal. And with that, I think we look forward to seeing you guys get going here. So, Toopsock, I'll go ahead and let you get back with your team, but thanks for letting us sit down and have a few questions with you.
Alrighty, thank you guys.
Absolutely. Now, Threep, we will be going on to Hollywood to start, it looks like. What do you think? How do you feel about this map?
I love seeing the comps that come out on Hollywood over the last few days. It has been utterly ridiculous with the quantity of excellence I've been seeing on this map. Honestly, I've gotten a chance to see Team Ragnor play, but I actually haven't seen Bulldogs in action yet. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they handle their initial defense and then, of course, their subsequent offense.
Yeah, very curious to see. I've seen so many games that honestly I could not do these teams justice if I were to try to recall the plays that happened for them. If I recall correctly, Yeet being very powerful. I believe it was on the hit scan DPS. Don't quote me on that, but of course we'll be seeing here in just a few moments when the teams actually do get on the board here in just about 30 seconds while we load the map in.
Yeah, so some interesting play definitely for both sides, but with the setup being what it is, Bulldogs getting to start on that defense, I think we've been hammering this point home as we've been going about. But starting on defense, you get a lot of advantages that you do not necessarily get if you're going to start out on offense.
Indeed, you definitely like to see it. It's more of a pacemaker position here that's really going to kind of hopefully work to the team's advantage. And for those of you at home, on the left, we will have the Bulldogs in blue, Bulldog blue, easy to remember. And similarly, just as easy to remember, Ragnor on the right in red. So Ragnor red, it's perfect symmetry.
And let's see if Ragnor brings the Ragnarok. They're setting up early possibly with this triple support, Ryan Zarya, and then Ash. Guffum has been a lovely player to watch on that DPS, especially that hit scan, showing up and making it known. Meanwhile, that defense already coming out. I'm super liking this.
Yeah, overall, that Reaper, I like seeing the Reaper come out more and more. It's sadistic to see how the teams react to something that just has such high punch, and if you allow it to, such high sustain. And it's something I get a sickening chuckle out of every time I see teams try and sometimes fail to go against it.
And Yeet's going to be setting up for a very spicy ambush. Short man on the McCree, that's two these days characters with incredible tank busting potential, but here comes Yeet. He's going to be coming in the backline. The anti-nade is out. Guffum going to be the first to drop. No, he's going to get out of there alive, and Yeet has to retreat.
Yeah, and early pick coming out onto Beach. That's going to provide a little bit of a lack in the holding potential. However, it's not looking like it's going to stop Ragnor here.
Yeah, Team Ragnor making sure that the kills go in their favor. Both Reinhardt's dropping down pretty early into the fight. That means it's all up to the damage potential of both teams, and it's going to go to Ragnor, who overcome the Reaper problem. Guffum, again, managing to stay alive into that means they get to hammer dynamites all throughout.
Yeah, and really the only thing to be said, like the only heroes really coming out with any ultimate advantage in that fight, looking forward into Streets phase, is going to be Jaxcast on that Ana, as well as Kaz Logic on the Rhine. Jax and Kaz, if you will, going to be the two players to look out for, really making those game-setting ultimates, or the pace-setting ultimates here as we get into the Streets phase.
Speaking of which, if you see those players that you're super liking, vote for them in the MV poll below the Twitch. Don't forget to take this fight into account. The Discord goes in. That's going to be an anti-nade. Nano into Beach, and their Reinhardt is down. Guffam raining shots into the backline, going to pick up that Ana. Kills just too strong, and Team Ragnor is utterly dominating the streets.
Yeah, Yeet able to get the kill onto Jaxcast. However, the ultimate had already been cast at that point. Really, the major utility that they wanted to get out for that fight was already there, and there were just too many kills going through for Ragnor's favor for the one Ana kill to really make too much of a difference.
Yeah, it's that kind of stagger that maybe it'll help you for the next fight, but Ana's going to be able to join it in time for that to not matter. The poke phase beginning, Fire Strike's going out, possibly a little bit of a mind game on Kaz Logic's side. Here comes the big Bob comes in, but it's in the room, it's not going to grab anyone. The big Shatter goes in though. Kaz Logic with that nano boost, he's going to rain down havoc, and this is going to be Bulldogs coalescing into a solid, stabilized defense on Streets of Hollywood.
Yeah, worth noting that Shortmat almost fell in that fight, however, just managing to cling on by a few threads of life, and really the Ana nade coming onto Kaz Logic, helping to bolster that team. Guffam trying to maneuver that dynamite to get a lot of early damage early on into the fight, but just did not have the follow-through, despite throwing the Bob into the jail, unfortunately, with the less than optimal position.
Yeah, it's a tricky situation again to be in. You really have to balance who's your target focus and where are you going to go for. Yeet taking some really, really dangerous flanks there, but now a big grab's going to come out, and this is going to be, ooh, Trans comes in though. That's going to be a no kills for the Death Blossom, and despite the Trans coming in though, another Trans now going to block all of the rest of the kills. Lots of ults connected, nothing happening until Yeet finally goes down, and Tubsock is going to be going crazy on Zarya, going to be opening up this fight for Ragnor to take it.
Yeah, really kind of a risky Death Blossom from Yeet, regardless of how you look at it. Tubsock getting that grab, getting, I believe, the Ana, Rhine, and the Reaper. And the Reaper pops the Death Blossom, but really, he's stuck in the range characters on behalf of the Zenyatta, on behalf of the, I believe there was the Ashe, who were really just able to take it at a distance and didn't have to push into the grab too immediately. So perhaps he'd like to have it back.
Yeah, and Bulldogs, of course, going to be hoping that that had been available for them. With a Nano and a Grav coming online, that could have been the drop-dead halt that they needed to really get a solid defense on point C going. Meanwhile, it's going to be Team Ragnor coming in with a huge quantity of ultimate charge, and I have a feeling they're going to be looking to finish this map with way too much time in their hands.
Yeah, Shortmat really doing a favor to Yeet just there, getting the Reaper peeled out for the team despite being slept. Fat Grav.
Big Shatter, the anti-nade goes in, and Yeet cleans it up. Textbook play. All the ults committed, though, but Yeet doing a lot of damage and going to be having that Death Blossom online for next fight.
Indeed, and Threep, did I say Fat Grav? I meant Shatter.
There was a Grav that went out, though, so I feel like you were right in the end anyways.
Well, I'll take what I can get. However, I'm sure that the Bulldogs will be trying to get as many ultimates as they can in this fight, especially looking up against the hefty bank that Ragnor is going to be having. 4 ults on the board against a team that almost has 1 or 2. It's looking pretty favorable for the attack.
If they can just get that the Trans online, they have a huge shot at standing up to all these ults, but no, it's going to be a Grav and a Bob, and here comes the charge taking Zarya out of the mix, and despite the anti-nade, she is going to get her health back up. Unbelievable, and Death Blossom goes into the backline. It is going to take out Lucio and the Ashe, despite all the damage done by this team. Uh-oh, though, that's a big Shatter going right into a shield. Bulldogs might be looking at a successful defense here.
Yeah, that was a tough ultimate to see happen right there. As well, Yeet asleep with that ultimate in his pocket, however, did not look like they gave the team enough time to really collapse on and kill him before he was able to take advantage. And we saw that once that Death Blossom went through, the kills really started to come through for the defense, and now Yeet's already at half of another Death Blossom.
Yeah, that's insane. Kaz Logic's Shatter coming also online. They did get the Trans in that fight, again, crucial to it. And here they have Barrier and Nano almost ready to come online. They're starting to get into that ult staggering for themselves that is perfect for a long hold.
Indeed, going to be watching onto iCube, see who they give the Nano to. They're probably going to have to use it if they want a reliable hold, and it's going to go onto Yeet.
And and it's gonna be Doggle, who actually takes out Guffum early into the fight. Barriers is gonna come out on offense, and Yeet gets that anti thrown out. He's gonna shake it off with the Wraith, and instead gonna go sailing into the backline, only to get destroyed by an angry Zenyatta.
Yeah, Yeet really trying for Spark on that Zenyatta, not able to quite land, but it did hold off the attack for a little bit of time at least, that Nano.
Oof, Ragnor smells blood though, and they're coming in with an nanoed Reinhardt. Despite the Discord, he's gonna get that shatter off, and he stops Kazlogic from getting his own. If he goes down, that's it. The Death Blossom's not gonna be able to save them. There's just too much presence on the point. At least there would be if all the supports hadn't died. But yeah, this is gonna be Ragnor pushing this point home. He's probably not gonna be able to do anything against these tanks.
Yeah, and that was a tough situation. Kazlogic going for the Fire Strike right as Beach hits the hammer down button, but it looks like things almost were about to turn around. Just Yeet not able to pull off just quite enough damage. They got all the supports, but by then the rest of their team had fallen. So, you know, what can you do in that situation except just try to stall out as long as possible and let your respawns come in?
Yeah, it's an unlucky situation to see the Reinhardt, who had the clutch, shatter there, possibly maybe wanting to send that out while the grab was in action, the counter shatter in that situation being a great option, but instead they were shattered themselves. That leads to a lot of ults on the ground, stunned, unable to get activated.
Yeah, indeed. A little bit curious to see if they will be running the Reaper again on offense. Bulldogs, that is. I think that if they have a Lucio here, they might be able to leverage it a little bit, but Yeet perhaps not playing as coordinated with the team as you'd like. I think that that first setup we saw on defense where they tried to go for the very flanky Reaper playstyle was perhaps a little bit of a misplay. Maybe you'd like to see them play a little bit tighter with the group, have a little bit more coordination, because it didn't look like the teams were clashing when the Reaper was in the backline of the attackers. And it just kind of looked discombobulated, disoriented a little bit.
Yeah, there's a situation of target focus as well. There's a moment early on, Yeet had an option to go for either Guffum's Ashe or a Zenyatta, who was just about to die. And it was probably the Discord in that first fight that won it out for the team Ragnor, who, again, both Reinhardt's going down. It's all up to the damage, and boy, does Discord add a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe it's a 25-30% damage boost, going to be dealing quite a few more points. However, we're going to be seeing a Winston and D.Va come out here onto the attack. I'm liking this. The first D.Va-Winston combo of the game.
A lovely little dive featuring Hanzo from Yeet, switching over to Projectile, like seeing that flexibility. Meanwhile, it's going to be actually a pretty mirrored, the defense for Ragnor looking pretty similar, except instead of the Ashe, they're going to be throwing out now the Hanzo.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the time for Ashe maybe has kind of gone by the wayside for these two teams. In the starting phase, perhaps they're looking for a little bit more jumpiness. At least the attacking team will be, and they're going to go right for it.
And diving onto the Zenyatta, the dive is successful in that respect, but way too many kills coming in for this dive to be successful now. Kazlogic goes down very early. This dive is definitely over. Maybe target focus just a little off. Getting the Zenyatta first, great. Follow-up, not so good.
Yeah, but I guess if you're looking to take this away in positives for the Bulldogs, you look at it this way. One of your key fight wins is going to be that Nano Blade combo. And with Spark going down so early, they did not have a huge chance to build up any ult. We look and they're sitting at a meager 15%. That is going to be crucial in stopping that Blade from wiping the team, especially since there's no Brigitte on the team to really kind of fend off that Genji. So you want to have that Zenyatta up and building charge as much as possible.
Yep, now we see D.Va going in alone. The big anti-nade comes in, though. That's going to be Beach falling first. Kazlogic, again, getting taken out very early into the fight. A little bit of that evoking of the fraggy there, but Shortnat is going to go absolutely crazy on that Genji. And Guffum striking back pretty heavily, but it's going to be a difficult push for... nope, never mind. TubeSock again. Annihilated. Wow. Didn't even know which way that fight was going to go, but here Bulldog's going to wrap it up.
Yeah, that was really kind of credit to iCubes there, I believe. And the massive stun.
Oh no, but there it is. They're not able to finish out the point, and instead, though, they do throw out the Nano Blade to finish it off. That's unfortunate for the Bulldogs. Great for Ragnor, who are going to make them commit as many ults as possible to make sure that they get them to spend as much as they can to take that point A.
Yeah, I think that if you're looking at ult economies there, Beach having that shatter interrupted, very crucial, but also Soon going to be on that Lucio with minimal charge, so it's essentially resetting 2 ults for 2 ults. Yeah, you'd like it to be more aggressive with the Genji, but still, your ult parity is looking pretty consistent between both teams.
It's definitely even. Ragnor has a great chance at stopping the charge from Bulldogs here. Meanwhile, on the other side, Bulldogs has a good shot to get, and there they get that Diva mech back. They are going to be in this fight in full swing.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to be looking at that. Now it is going to be an even 3v3, but a little bit of posturing, perhaps waiting for KazLogic to be jumping in and seeing what their first dive target's going to be. A lot of efficiency between this team and the coordination, at least based on the first point.
Grab goes in, Dragons comes out, all the dueling Dragons coming in. But wow, that's actually going to be more kill. Nope, even matches. Both main tanks going down. One side losing support. Now two supports. Bulldogs showing some solid dominance here with Cart making progress.
Yeah, it's looking like the Bulldogs are winning their fights almost as consistently as the prior team, or as Ragnor did on their attack. However, it's looking like the character losses during the fights are way more even. Both teams losing about 3 to 4 members per fight, it's seeming. And that can make all the difference, especially when it comes to that stall time.
Yeah, and a big fat shatter, speaking of which, comes out for Beach as they wait for all their team members to get back on the court. Diva getting demeched, the main tank going down. It's going to be Bulldogs on the retreat as they look for a way to break through this defense for the last push.
And that was really kind of good on KazLogic to realize, hey, we are already down a slight way. The Diva's demeched, all this kind of stuff. Let's not pop the Primal. Let's save it for the next push. They're going to have some ults up, but we want to save this one because we know that's going to be the case.
And there it is again, Yeet getting caught massively out of position. A crucial stagger, especially when he's so close to that Dragons.
Yeah, Yeet actually getting slept there in the middle of streets, going to be costing them in a little bit in the resource of time, but Yeet probably going to have the Dragons up by the time they walk onto the field.
Oh yeah, a veritable ult-apocalypse coming online for Bulldogs.
Indeed, going to not have the grab to combo with in this situation, but will not have to compete with the enemy Hanzo's Dragon Strikes as well. So we'll see how it goes. It's going to be a little bit of counterplay here from Yeet.
Yeah, the more they wait though, the more Guffum is going to build up closer to that super ramp time. But there it is, Dragon's going to opening up, they separate the Ana, she has the sightlines to her team, but no one dives after her. Instead they choose the other targets, and that's going to be Short Man falling down early. Huge source of damage gone for the dive, and thanks to that grab, Ragnor just makes very short work of it, and they have to sacrifice the Dragons for it. And the Nano.
Yeah, and you really kind of have to consider how that would have gone differently if they had been able to catch out Jack's cast. If they had noticed that it was just the one Ana separated from the rest of the team and they had focused them, we know that the anti-nade would have come out. The grab still probably would have been expended, but it would not have been such a one-sided fight. And you think that maybe you could build a little bit better ult charge if you're the Bulldogs in that situation.
Yeah, definitely rough. However, I do like the discipline from every member of the team on the field right now for not tossing out their ults into that fight. Bulldogs for recognizing a lost fight when they have one. And now the Ragnor has a bunch of ults to save. For the Spectre defense, it's going to open with Short Man on the Genji. Here come the barriers out to counter. It's a very good counter, but the Shatter comes in, and here comes the Diva Bomb, though. It's going to catch the Soon, and the Beach's Rhine. Huge, but then the ground pound goes down, grabs nothing, get a big bunch of shields, though. And the Trance is going to have to come out, and the fights are evening up with Ragnor really clapping back. They're going to end this push.
Yeah, it's looking like the Bulldogs kind of preferring to take those early fight engagements, but they just do not have the follow-through. Unless they win a fight very explosively, it's seeming like they're not being that successful in these prolonged fights. Once we can see that Ragnor starts to build a little bit time into the fight, we can see their picks start to be really powerful, particularly Guffum on the Doomfist, a Tube-Sock on that Zarya. They really start to get into the swing of their momentum, and it really starts to feel like they get a lot more comfortable and start winning those fights more consistently.
They're going to have to apply that to this next fight, as the time limit is going to force them into a very quick engagement. Still have a chance to complete the map, but it's going to come down to the line. Beach charges into the back lane. He doesn't get anything, but there's Discord on KazLogic, and he is going to go down next. Tube-Stock building up grab after grab after grab. The barriers come in, but the anti-nade's going to prevent anyone from getting in there. Beach gets that Shatter, though, and here it is! Why is this happening? Ragnor, look at you guys. You're incredible. Fight over, Bulldogs down. First map going to Team Ragnor.
Yeah, despite Guffum getting brought down on that Doomfist, which you think might kind of signal the prevalence of the Bulldogs to take that fight, they did not seem to be shaken at all by that loss. The Brigitte, the only one able to secure a kill on Team Bulldog, but it just was not quite enough, and they weren't able to surpass the map.
Yeah, and again, the play of the game we're seeing coming out from short map is a great example of Bulldogs committing the ults to the fight that they know they have to win, weren't able to get that kind of snowball potential onto point B. So as the losers, they are going to be eventually banning a hero, choosing a map, but for now it's going to be Team Ragnor saving a hero and banning a map.
Yeah, and Ragnor looking pretty confident in that semi-goats comp, in that triple support comp is probably a fairer way to say it. That Doomfist, despite him not being too powerful in what most people would consider the meta these days, he's still able to buy out a lot of time, and especially in something like the Streets phase where there's not so much claustrophobia on Hollywood, I'm still able to get quite a bit of mileage out of him.
Yeah, they really carried it a long way. Speaking of mileage, they're going to be banning one of the longest spawn 2-point walks in the game, Horizon Lunar Colony, leaving only one assault net left in the bank as Hanamura. So for the Bulldogs, they're going to be choosing from any map other than Hollywood. And wow, they are going to pick Hanamura. Oh, dang, and they're banning Reinhardt from Ragnor.
Yeah, that's going to be tough, as we've seen so many times. Ryan in these situations on Hanamura, so good at holding that gate choke. It's really going to hamper the defense for Team Ragnor here, the winners of the previous match. So it's something that we're going to have to look forward to seeing. It's a situation where without Ryan, all the other tanks have their very significant trade-offs, and one doesn't necessarily look stronger than the other. I think Winston might look a little bit lacking on the defense, but Wrecking Ball or Orisa all looking like optimal choices if you can pair them well, disregarding the Rhine.
Yeah, it's probably going to come down to whichever combination Team Ragnor has practiced the most. Speaking of which, though, they are, electing to get set up on attack first. Very interesting. Fortunate for us, they're going to stay on the same side, but that must mean they have possibly a very speedy and punchy plan for Hanamura.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, that the attack has the ability to kind of be a pacemaker just as much as the defense. The defense really pressurizes the next team if they're able to have a really good defense. Likewise, the attacking team, if they're able to score like a 7-minute time bank, that's really going to put pressure on the next team to rotate. So it's the pressure really comes through depending on how well you do, not necessarily which comes first, in my opinion. But we're going to be seeing, we do have a player that has dropped, DC'd for a moment, short mat on the side of Bulldogs, so we will be waiting for them to get back before we get started. We'd rather have the drops now than in the middle of the game, folks.
Oh yeah, that tends to break momentum and just be all kinds of nasty. And again, with a live stream, you're always going to have some kind of technical difficulties, right?
Yeah, I mean, if the World Cup taught me anything, even on a non-live stream or even on some pre-recorded stuff, even on high-level stuff, you're still going to have some issues here that, it's growing pains. Just growing pains.
Ain't that the truth? So, Hanamura. He'll be restarting his game, so while we wait... We've been seeing a lot of Hanamura. Horizon Lunar Colony has been banned in just about every match I've been a part of so far, so sometimes they do the double down, they ban 2CP entirely, which I honestly can't blame them for doing.
Yeah, and of course it means that there will be no more 2CP. This will be the only time we're going to be seeing 2 capture points. We still have up to 4 more maps to go, including Hanamura, and as little as 2. So we might be seeing some more control points, hybrid, or escort. Obviously, we just saw 1 hybrid coming out. So Eichenwald would be the escort du jour if we saw another one. But overall, I think that Hanamura, we're going to be seeing a lot of play diversity, especially considering that Reinhardt is lacking. It's going to be kind of an uphill battle for Ragnor.
Yeah, I wonder what kind of compositions they'll have practiced in the face of that kind of ban. Not having that giant 2000 HP rectangle really changes how you have to play Hanamura. Tends to want to bring back the counter dive kind of situation, maybe if you're on defense. The dive on Hanamura was always kind of a shaky situation, but just not having the ability to run the Death Ball, the Goats, and other compositions which are just so dang strong on Hanamura, that's gotta hurt, and I hope they're having a really strong discussion about that.
Yeah, I anticipate that they will be. I mean, we have a little bit of time to kind of have the teams get collected here. Do you think, Threep, that the possibility of May is significantly less without the Rhine?
Since you don't have the shield, it might actually be the situation where they might be thinking, gotta go with what walls you have, so set it up while you can. I don't necessarily think it's the best solution, but with Orisa's ability to pull individuals behind the shield maybe, or maybe just a pulled port kind of situation, May might be a valuable addition.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, that the pulled pork might also be, I was in agreement with you thinking that the pulled pork might be also something of value, but as you touched on before, it might just come down to what Ragnor is going to be most comfortable with. We've obviously, I believe, seen them play Winston already, although that may have been Bulldogs. I think it was the Bulldogs going for dive, first point, Hollywood. So I'd be curious to see how their Winston's going to be coming out, if they're able to leverage it as much as they leverage Reinhardt, but I guess we'll see here in just a second.
Right. And yeah, this could also be the situation where we see just a very, very punchy one healer, one tank comp come out that has been tending to be favored now, we've been seeing in some of these high-powered matches. And it's going to possibly be met with some very fierce resistance. Bulldogs now coming out, banning the Reinhardt for Ragnor, but they're also going to be setting up a non-Reinhardt comp themselves.
Yeah, and very interesting here. We're going to be seeing the pulled pork Bastion Sim. I cannot think of a more painful comp to have to walk into, especially blind. You don't know necessarily that this is going to be coming. You're going to get pulled in one direction, hooked if you're an unlucky non-shielded character, which most will be, and then shredded by a Bastion, microwaved by a Sim. It's gonna be rough if they're not prepared for it.
And fascinating, they're setting up on the highest ground available to any Hanamura defense. They're going to be very visible as the team comes in, so they're not going to have the element of surprise. They are going to have some Symmetra turrets coming in, but that is going to be Ragnar's position to just jump straight to the point. Yeet, though, is going to pick up Spark on the Zarya, and now the rotation's going to take too much time, and Ragnor is going to pick up a tick practically for free, or rather at the cost of one Zarya.
Yeah, that's the thing when you're playing Bastion. You have to be very ready to rotate, because if you lose that rotation battle, you lose a lot of damage in the interim, and it can be very costly. As we see, it's already been Bulldogs giving up half a tick. Granted, it looks like they're going to recover it, but still, that's a percentage you'd still want to have back.
I mean, you know, logic dictate that all the Team Ragnor has to do is run that play 2 more times, and they'll have point A in the bag. However, I don't think Bulldogs is going to be falling for that trick again, as they are setting up dead center solid on the point.
Are you scared?
Yeah, and it makes a little bit of sense here. However, we're not seeing the Orisa shield come out in front of Yeet quite yet. We'll have that Bastion tank mode, so perhaps they're just preparing for that, letting him set up, and it looks like it's going to be going here just a second.
Interesting, a preemptive Bastion tank. It, unfortunately, I don't think is going to get any kills unless they somehow manage to catch that Jax cast out in the open. So yeah, that's an ult they're not going to have for this defense, and I have a feeling that's going to cost them big time.
Yeah, you like having that bursty damage if you're that Bastion. You're able to get those one-hit shots, especially on the characters like Guffum. However, with the nano coming onto the Winston, we're going to see how it plays out here.
Yeah, filthy situation for Ragnor to be in. They're going to have to come in there against that Symmetra shield, unable to attack Yeet at will. And wow, he already has that tank configuration again. Never mind, watch this caster eat his words live on Twitch as Yeet goes absolutely insane.
Yeah, it's a particularly rough situation, because Beach on that Winston, having one of the lightest shields in the game, lightest and longest cooldown shields in the game. Orisa's having, I believe, an 800 on I believe it's an 8-second cooldown, something along those lines. But Winston, I believe it's a 600 or 700 barrier on a much longer cooldown. So it's going to be hard to play around that Bastion where you can cut down your shield so instantaneously and with longer setup times.
Yeah, I honestly can't. I think Ragnor seems to just be trying to compensate with their usual 3-3 composition by throwing a Winston at it, and that's not the way that you're going to get away with that, especially in this situation against the Bastion, like you said, who rips through Winston's 600 little bubble with really, honestly, just way too much capability. It's mostly up to D.Va to stop that burst damage long enough for Bastion to get fried.
Yeah, and in this kind of a game, it can come down to really good focus fire or perhaps multiple angles of attack. If you're not able to get the Bastion to focus in one direction, it can really turn the tides.
Speaking of turning the tides, boom! TubeSock goes nuts, eliminating an Orisa ult and the all-powerful Bastion in one fell swoop. Symmetra's barrier is going to cause a bit of a hubbub. Fortunate thing about Winston, though, he rips right through that.
Yeah, Winston's Tesla Cannon don't give two cares if your shield is up. Electricity stops at no barrier here, and that's going to be a first point take, and overall it's looking like the ults came through a little bit more efficiently for Ragnor on that one.
Yeah, I like the way they staggered them there. They did ultimately get rid of the point, and they're going to be coming in with some dirty snowball potential with the graph coming in big time. But Yeet, he didn't get caught into it. He's going to get set up. He's going to rip apart the Ana, and wow! Symmetra's turrets get through to Spark. No one's able to get rid of them. They take down Beach as well. MVP Sim Turrets. Don't forget to vote for them in the Twitch panel below. No, you won't find them actually. TubeSock, though, this is going to be probably one of the most filthiest staggers in the... They actually get rid of Mercy. That's awesome.
Yeah, TubeSock not going down without a fight. That not going to be too crucial, as they will be up in a relatively short order, but it's the small victories that you kind of take when you can get them. TubeSock going to have this ult up. That is, of course, one of the better options for displacing the Bastion. If you put the Diva Bomb on top of him, he at least has to get up and rotate, and if the Orisa Shield's not there, it can end up getting the kill, just like we saw in the first point. So I think they may be trying to emulate that a little bit. On top of that, a Genji Blade might be coming out in their future, but we'll see how these next few fights go.
Yeah, much divier composition coming out from Ragnor, and yeah, no Zarya for that Dragons doesn't mean this is any less of a fight, team wiping composition. Nanoblade being just as capable of making some serious problems.
Absolutely, and Guffum on this Hanzo, as you said, not having the grab is not going to be a make or break situation, especially since they are playing against a more static comp. A fat nade coming out from JaxCast.
Yeah, that was insane, catching so many members of the team behind that shield, and JaxCast gets hooked. They are going to make it out alive, though. They just Spark going nuts. Diva Bomb getting dropped behind the Orisa shield. It isn't going to grab anyone, but here now a whole hog is going to have to get cast into the fight and mostly eaten as Ragnor makes an incredible play for the point. Ults flying left and right.
Yeah, indeed, and we really saw it looked a little grim for Dougal there. However, going to be kept up nice and healthy. The Dragons coming out. These ults are going back and forth right now.
And the Dragons is going to catch Symmetry. He's going to pick up Mercy, and then Spark finally gets his blade, and he's going to rip apart the rest of Bulldogs. Now they are in stall territory, but it's going to be really tricky if they can make it to the point line, but they can't!
Ooh, Yeet just a few sparse inches from the point, not quite able to make it on, and that Doomfist has some really good stall potential. Once he gets his abilities off, as I mentioned before, rolling into the mid-fight, he gets those shields built up, and it makes him even harder to take down target. On top of that, you have him flying with, you know, horizontally, vertically, and then kind of in an arc if you use your E ability. It's overall a hard hero to hit that has a lot of stall potential, but just not able to get onto point from Yeet in time.
Yes, solid block from Ragnor, and they finish Hanamura with time to spare. Speaking of setting the pace, that's the kind of pace you want to be setting. Now Bulldogs has more than just their work cut out for them, as Ragnor could come away with this with just a flat win before they even finish the map.
Yeah, overall, and I would like to kind of highlight the Diva Bombs of that game. The Diva Bombs really kind of seemed essential. I believe it was from TubeSock in getting those, the Bastion either killed or displaced. We saw multiple times where on first point, it just straight out killed the Bastion. On second point, he had to get up to rotate around the Orisa shield, which obviously means he wasn't able to pour that high DPS damage amount into the point where there were so many people, and the entire team of Ragnor just looked like they were able to collapse upon that, and really kind of opening it up for pretty much the floodgates, as it were.
Yep. MVP definitely for some of those fights going to be TubeSock's exploding, sometimes destroyed mech. But for the side of the Bulldogs, that just means they know exactly who to watch out for. And I see Yeet on the Reaper going for that position.
Yeah, it's going to be double Reapers coming out here. I think it's going to be which one can play a little bit tighter, have their team ferry them into the enemy team's chest, basically, and just pummel damage.
Yeah, and Ragnor definitely, they are going to be going for that defensive counter, not counter dive, but defensive dive. But Bulldogs is going to rotate right onto the point. Could we be seeing another point tick for free? No, there's always going to be someone from Ragnor to contest. Diva diving in there, doing her duty, but they're going to get D-Mech very quickly. Beach also going to fall. Nasty situation for Ragnor as Bulldogs establishing pure dominance on point A.
Yeah, really, as we saw the first initial kills come through, it was looking pretty good, and now it's only looking better. TubeSock, however, getting Kaz Logic might provide the reprieve they need, but it's not looking certain.
Yeah, as disgusting as a Reaper is, their sustain can only last so long, but they also have an Ana to back them up, and that could be huge, but no, it's going to be Bulldogs really finishing off Yeet, taking out his edgelord counterpart, finishing off the rest of the supports with the help of a Brigida, and a nasty boop on from Shortman to a Beach who may have been on his way to reset regardless.
Yeah, and I think that if you're playing here, you gotta be on the lookout for the Reaper Death Blossom, especially if you're Tube Sock. You want to be able to matrix that damage as much as possible, so your team can get out of the way. Guffam looking close to their Death Blossom as well, and a lot more counters coming out. Spark going to be taking an early nap, and that might be a fight changer.
Yeah, it's a nasty situation, and it's going to be Bulldogs. Oh, wow, Yeet opens up with the early thing, and no shields! No shields for them! Ragnor, but it's going to be Yeet going down very quickly. TubeSock catching on to that. But wow, Bulldogs is making a huge play. Kills coming out left and right, but ultimately they're still the ones taking the advantage here. Reinhardt going to go ripping into that Diva. Guffam getting low, but they are going to get taken out by Kaz Logic, who is just going absolutely crazy on this point.
Yeah, and JaxCast really trying to keep this positioning high, and a massive to be capitalized if they want to take out Chomp and start to turn this fight around. However, it looks like the opportunity will not be taken.
There it is, the stagger though, or rather the stall is real. The tick hasn't actually been picked up by Bulldogs, despite how excellent their offense was. And now it's a man disadvantage for Bulldogs coming in, though they are going to slightly even that up a bit, but their point presence is waning and the spawn advantage is huge.
Yeah, and as I said, that is really one of the capabilities of the high ground. I talk about it all the time. If the snipers are far away from the point and you have a team that needs to focus the point, then the snipers are able to have free reign, whether it's healing, whether it's damage. They're able to take that advantage. And as we saw, JaxCast just getting some utter ult charge just because there wasn't really anybody on the attacking team Bulldogs who could really contest with them too immediately.
Yeah, they were too occupied getting exploded. Rally going to come in to try and counteract some of that anti-nade, but Doggle is going to get across the tombstone, but here comes the Arisa ult. Huge quantity of damage, but it's two less people to take care of it. Big Shatter goes in on the left side though. Arisa's shield not there to protect them. Anti-nades flying left and right, but Bulldogs are going to be coming away with most of the kills, and they have a tad of a point advantage and way more health to deal with. And here now they finally might be mounting an attack that's going to get a tick.
Yeah, and we're going to be seeing now iCubes taking up this high ground position. Again, it's not looking like it's going to be easy. Guffam perhaps going for the contest. That might be the best option in this case. Give up the high ground, but they still have not given up a tick. This is amazing.
The staggers for Ragnor are incredible. Specifically, their unbelievable tenacity. Big Diva Bomb, though, comes out. It's not going to be enough, and that is going to be what finally gives up Bulldogs some pressure on the point. May pillaring up. This could be the end. Oh, what a well-timed charge from Kaz Logic.
Yeah, and really, Beach right here trying to play this Hammond. It looked like they were trying to knock some enemies into the pit, or into the moat area, which is smart. You get the enemies into the moat, that gives you about a 3 to 5 second reprieve where they have to walk back up, and that's really kind of the advantage you need to take in these situations when you can't just get outright kills.
Yeah, and Bulldogs there it's gonna be. They've picked up the second tick. The days are numbered for Ragnor. They're so close. They've eliminated the Mei, and it's gonna be it. They finish Hanamura with twice as much time.
Yeah, ult generation just looking rather beefy for the Bulldogs, and they were able to hang on for a very long time there, but Ragnor on the same side of the token, able to defend the point for very well. We saw the Mei come out, we saw the Tracer come out, the Hammond, pretty much all the stall characters you like seeing, except for maybe that Doomfist. They got him onto the point and burnt off a lot of time on the clock. I think it was like a minute that they ended up saving from the attack for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, actually, that's way less time than I thought they had. The initial repulsion there of making sure that they were just able to get that pick snowball going. Love seeing that. That's the kind of defense that really makes Hanamura super ridiculous to take. With the spawn advantage, the picks coming in, you have to solidify the team fight like they did in that final push, or it's just going to be just a constant team fight that lasts minutes.
Yeah, and you need to be careful of your player, or not your player awareness, but your character awareness. If you see the Ana's on high ground, you have to kind of organize, okay, do I risk going for the Ana, removing that healing and getting somebody off the high ground, or do I go for the point, stall out? And that's a decision you don't want to be making when you're already down 3 players. You want to be making it when you're a full team able to take advantage of full pressure.
Yeah, healer left alone is way too good of a resource for the enemy team, and it proved that to be the case. Again, like you said, that high ground just too nasty.
Yeah, one thing worth noting, however, Ragnor is still not able to play that Reinhardt. Has not seemed to impair them too much, especially on their attack, where they had just over 2 minutes left.
Yeah, so they're going to be sticking with just a flat-out dive this time. 2 tanks, 2 supports, 2 DPS. Boy, do I love... For some reason, I'm feeling nostalgic.
Yeah, the good old dive times, and Spark getting an early kill might break it open.
Oof, and there it is. Yeet's gonna grab Spark, but main tank and Zenyatta down for the defense. And now though the D.Va comes in with also the kill onto D.Va, it's really kind of just a bit of a chaotic fight with an almost even man advantage. But since one of those mans is Reaper against a Winston, and iCubes is going to manage to get away on the Ana, this is going to be a bit of a good situation actually for Ragnor, who has a much more favorable spawn.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to be seeing the Primal come out, maybe trying to get... However, Guffle even allow for that opportunity, just cleaning up the point like a janitor.
Guffum pops off like crazy, builds their ult. They're gonna die for their efforts, but hey, no good deed, etc., etc.
Yeah, absolutely. And the collapse on the Chomp going to prevent, again, a little bit of ult charge from being built up, but it's at the cost of feeding him the entire ult charge worth of a Tracer. So it's left and right weighted balance.
Yeah, not really sure mathematically how that would turn out. I'll leave that up to the number crunchers. So they're, again, Team Ragnor going to be pressing their spawn at their advantage with the ults. Oh, they deny the short mat ult! The Blizzard not coming out of this point is going to be huge! But kills, again, very equal. But Yeet, are they going to get away from that Reaper? Yes, they are, but here comes, unfortunately, the Nano Blade. Not the Nano Blade? No Nano Blade, just a blade. And it's, however, going to do very good work. However, May also now back on the point doing work. The grab comes in while separate the wall! The wall stopped the bomb! Oh, what a great shot there!
Yeah, this fight is being entirely decided by who can get denied their ultimates. Yeet getting slept, I believe Short Map getting their Blizzard eaten, Guffum at the very beginning of the fight whiffing the Pulse Bomb, but it's not looking like it's going to result in any point progress for Ragnor, and that's so unfortunate. You have no ults going into this next fight now, and with Beach getting killed really late into the game, that's tough.
Yeah, the stagger is real, and the team fight was definitely real. Again, minutes-lasting team fights on the point B of Hanamura, not good in this kind of clutch situation. Go in with your combos or make sure you do a dry push at the start, but they have a chance maybe of not finishing this map. But they're switching over to the soldiers, so it looks like they want some of that constant damage.
Yeah, I'm curious if they're going to try to be getting Spark onto that high ground, perhaps lead in with the tanks, cause a big ruckus onto the point, and then when everybody's fighting onto the point, having to really contest, they're going to just have the soldier on high ground really pelting damage onto the point, out of range of most of the other characters. See them setting up now.
And any kill that comes in for Bulldogs is enormous, and boom, there it is, the demon. But no, Shortback goes down early! They can't throw their Blizzard out onto the point! Huge, big option for Ragnor to go in, but I don't think they're gonna be able to pull it off. Bulldogs just doing too good of a job countering their dive.
Yeah, Yeet being really kind of uncontested here, going to fall 1-in-1 with Jack's cast, but it might not be enough. We're going to see Dougal try to contest Spark, and that might be necessary.
Yeah, Short Mat was eliminated from the fight at first, but they're going to be throwing that Blizzard onto the point just in time to get that overtime count down.
Yeah, and I think that the idea was there. Sparks on that high ground, as we talked about, can be very powerful, especially if a really crack soldier who's able to just land those pinks, land those body shots, land those headshots, especially if you're able to. The damage fall off will be there, but with soldier, you get uncontested damage for free, and that's another source of pressure that the enemy knows they can't deal with immediately, or at least will be very discombobulated to deal with immediately.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So there we go. That's going to be the initial push defeated. They do get a bit into the map. They're going to be showing 3-2. So they have an option holding 3 minutes and 50 seconds. That is Ragnor going to be able to outright win this map currently.
Yeah, it will be a little bit of a beefy task. However, I think that it's really going to kind of depend on the first fight. I think if the first fight is able to be held by Ragnor without giving up, I'd say 2 ticks, they could probably give up 1, but if they give up 2 ticks, it'll probably lead to their collapse. And then from there, I don't think that Bulldogs will have too much issue rushing on to second point. That's all speculation. I'm anxious to see how this game's going to go in reality, but it looks like Bastion Orisa is the way we're going to be seeing this attempt to be laid out.
I mean, it worked pretty well for the Bulldogs. I have a feeling they're thinking the same thing will work for them, especially with that Junkrat also donating just ridiculous quantities of damage.
Yeah, absolutely. Dougal or Doggle going to be looking to get a lot of charge from these Junkrat mines as well as the Bastion.
Oof,
and the sleep getting fat.
and the sleep and the anti-nade. Love seeing that, but it's going to be Jack's cast. Well, and there it is, Guffum. Bam, boom, 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 boom. Reinhardt, Brigitte all down. It's cleanup time for Ragnor.
Yeah, that was a very anemic looking push from Bulldogs. Perhaps they just weren't expecting the Bastion, but looking at ult charge, granted, Kazlogic and Yeet and all the team now is just switching, but it did not look like they were really kind of getting ahead in that. And now basically every member of your opposing team, every one of your counter players for Ragnor has half an ult up on you.
Yep. And speaking of ults, it's going to be Yeet on the Sombra. I think I know exactly what that EMP is going to be used for. If you catch my drift, that Bastion can't really get into his configuration sentry if he is doing a bit of forced recon. Guffum again, that's going to be a Kazlogic down, no shields for you, main tank devoid, no push for Bulldogs.
Yeah, it seems like they're trying to play really tight, really hard as a unit, making it as difficult as possible for that Sombra to come through. Sombra running into a couple members of the enemy team, not looking like it's really going to impact the play, however.
Yep. And here we see the little stall waiting while Kazlogic gets his way back to the point. Honestly, it would be up to Team Ragnarok to get some very dirty stalls here, but he's not going to be able to get that hack in, and instead, Beach is going to suffer just a bit, but here comes Guffum's very early tire. Gonna end this fight before it starts, and there it is, wham bam, thank you bam, Lucio, Ana, and Genji with the follow-up.
Yeah, Guffum taking a very peculiar position in terms of this fight, really kind of standing as a Junkrat on the front of the point, and since the entire team on attack had rotated to that cliffside, able to get that tire up, and just by entering the front of the house area there, able to take out the supports and getting some massive damage.
Yeah, with the ults coming in too, and no ults for Bulldogs, I think they're going to have to just settle in for a dry push. Try to just get out as many ults as they can while they themselves build up as much charge as possible for a final overtime setup.
Yeah, really, and they're going to have to hope they can end these fights decisively before Yeet gets that EMP, because as we said, it's going to knock Bastion out of Sentry form, but also it will bring down Jack's cast and Tubsock's to dangerous levels, and without a lot of healing.
Up and boom, boom. Whoa, Guffum, what the hell was that? That wasn't even an ult, but instead you're going to wipe the entire team with a single cooldown?
Yeah, Guffum doing some massive damage there. The advantage was really kind of looking towards the attacking team Bulldogs as we saw Spark fall first, but Guffum going to avenge their fallen foe with some brutal rage there. We're going to see body parts flying everywhere.
However, that was the dry push Bulldogs needed. Here comes the Nano Blades, and if they can get Yeet into position right when they need to, it could be the ultimate combo, no pun intended, of the EMP and then just an angry Japanese screaming.
Yeah, Tubsock going to get hacked. However, the fight winner, as we so often call it, coming out from Guffum already once again. Not going to be getting any net value, though.
Unbelievable, but that's the tank configuration. No Nano for the blade. The EMP does come in. That's going to be the signal for the EMP comes in, signal for the blade, which doesn't happen. As yes, they're trying to force out ults. Diva Bomb is going to catch Guffum and Spark, the damage dealers of Ragnor.
And massive value of all the people that EMP didn't hit, it was Spark. Spark was able to stay in that configuration tank mode and heal themselves up without being affected with the usability restrictions. They were still able to keep up and just keep trucking on that tank mode.
This is not a lost cause for Bulldogs. The spawn advantage is on their side. If this Blade can get any kill with the Primal Rage, they have a huge shot. They have to remember not to leave the point nose. Overtime is going to be big. Kazlogic taking down the Zenyatta, but Short Mat is going to fall without really doing a lot of work on the Blade. Kazlogic also going down with only Lucio. He is going to take out Guffum, though. That's major.
Absolutely. However, Chomp getting taken down will prevent that rotation. All healing down for that team. And that's going to be it. Massive holds from Ragnor.
The damage from Team Ragnor just way too intense, and Orissa's shield ability, that's the one thing a Sombra can't really do a lot about. If Orissa already has her shield out, hacking an Orissa is just about as good as picking your nose.
Yeah, absolutely. And one point where the fight really kind of tipped as a little bit of a misplay, I believe it was Short Mat on the Genji on the last push, pulled out that blade, started swinging at Guffum, then for some reason changed targets to Jax. And that's, you'd think that if you'd close the kill on Guffum, you'd still be able to focus Jax. They'd still be in that Zenyatta, able to just die in 2 cuts. But you let the Junkrat get away. I believe the Zenyatta doesn't get closed on in that ult, and it seemed like a little bit of a lack of focus from that ult.
Yeah, and that will definitely kill you, especially, you know, jumping around, zipping around as Genji. I know it's a character I can't play at all in the slightest, so it's difficult for me to comment sometimes. But yeah, if you lose your target in the frantic nature of that ultimate dashing and whatnot, you're going to have a bad time. And remember, as we're calling out these players, don't forget to keep voting for that MVP in the Twitch panel below the stream. For now, though, let's see how Team Ragnor reacts with their next map ban.
Absolutely. We, of course, will have no more 2 capture point maps left on this rotation. So I'm curious as to what our next map type will be. I'm thinking we might see some control point here, maybe hopping onto Ilios, Busan, Lijiang. I just feel like it's a possibility in my bones.
But oof, there it is. They will save Lucio this time, ignoring the fact that they didn't have the Reinhardt. Guess they're fine with that. But they are going to ban Ilios, which means the only 2 CP map left in the pool is going to be Busan. Which, if Bulldogs wants to pick, props to them, because honestly, despite casting it and despite playing it so many times, there it is, they play Busan! I don't even understand it!
I think that they may be trying to get some long-range damage, and maybe they feel pretty confident, the Bulldogs that is, in their Widow play. Because there's a lot of long sightlines on some of these maps, particularly the city center. I don't recall the name of that sub map, but where you can stand on the top of the buildings, it can be massive.
Oh yeah, City Center has some really solid Widow and Pharmacy sightlines. Team Ragnor also, doesn't matter which side they pick, they're going to have an option though for symmetry's sake. However, this is going to be getting started on Busan. This is Bulldogs' last chance in the tournament. If they don't win this map, we are going to be sadly saying goodbye.
Yeah, and however, I always like to bring it up ever since it happened about a week or so ago. Bulldogs, just because they're down 2, does not mean that they're out of this by any stretch. We saw a reverse sweep just a couple of days ago, so it's certainly within the realm of possibility. And hey, if we get to see more high quality Overwatch from it, I'm all for it. Bulldogs, let's see it.
Hells yeah. So Bulldogs, again, they're choosing Busan because they wanted to play the map, definitely. So that means they probably have something up their sleeves. I personally can't wait to see it. I hope it involves shutting down Guffum if he shows up on that Junkrat again.
Yeah, and I think that this map choice is why we see the Lucios so fervently protected in these game modes, with 3 control point maps being on the field as options. You know that the likelihood of them getting picked is significant, at least once during the series. So you want to keep that Lucio, you want to be able to have the positioning and take point first, because as long as you hold point, no matter how briefly it's for, if you're able to get it turned completely in your favor, that's percentage you're getting towards your win, regardless of whether the fight goes north or south.
You know, based on that, I think this, with Overwatch League starting up soon, I'll bet we're going to be starting to see the beginning of what could only possibly be referred to as the Lucio meta. Because even despite the Reinhardt, Ragnor has showed that there are just a plethora of comps that you can play and win with, but all of them involved a Lucio.
Yeah, I think that of the 2 characters who seem the most, I don't want to say meta immune, but resilient in this type of situation is Lucio, as well as D.Va. D.Va just providing a lot of utility as well as the kind of bruiser enforcer role. But Lucio having the ability of speed boost is something that not really any other hero can provide their team in the game. And until we see a replacement for that, I think he's going to be a mainstay for a while.
Yeah, and there it is. It's going to be that super divey tube sock on the Hammond composition coming out from Ragnor. Meanwhile, a very traditional 3-3 with the Zenyatta coming in from Bulldogs, looking to take advantage of the... Oh, tube sock misses his drop, though. Not a lot of damage going to be coming out from him, so now the kills just really kind of stacking up for both sides, though it's going to be favoring the Bulldogs, with Yeet going absolutely crazy.
Yeah, Yeet just on a tear as Zenyatta. TubeSock perhaps doing a little bit of a misplay, missing that ground pound. You think that having that stall out might have bought a little bit more time for that dive to come in, or at least the damage to come in through the dive. But they're still going to be trying to stall at this point.
Yeah, man advantage definitively for Bulldogs, though, so that's going to be a lot of tasty ult charge. If Beach manages to get out of there, good for them, but I think D.Va's going to have something to say about it.
Yeah, indeed. And, I mean, ult charge just in general, if we look at it at a glance, I think that it's looking significantly stronger. Well, it is hands down looking significantly stronger for the Bulldogs. Guffum going to be having that tac visor up soon. Questionable if they'll be able to leverage it with so many tanks on the field, however.
Yeah, and they had to do a quick switch over to a 3 support situation, getting Spark onto that Zenyatta. I think understanding that they needed to get that Discord going, and they drop it onto the D.Va, but here goes Guffum. They weren't able to get the D.Va out of mech in time, so they're going to eat a lot of that tack visor. Meanwhile, the rally comes in, and massive shatter going in for the rest of the team. Guffum is going to grab D.Va, but it's going to be practically the rest of Team Ragnor who's going to fall thanks to that ridiculous shatter from Kazlan.
Yeah, absolutely. And you think that perhaps Jaxcast would have liked to coordinate with Guffum a little bit more. Maybe Guffum just saw the opportunity to close on the D.Va. Again, that 2-second matrix gap can provide so much opportunity. Even if the D.Va wasn't demeched, you know that you can get 2 seconds of just solid damage output, even if you're just tack visoring onto her face.
Oh yeah, it's huge. But again, it's been Bulldogs completely uncontested, and they have the definitive old advantage. Guffum switching off the soldier, going to try their hand at the Mei this time around. But I have a feeling iCubes is going to be looking to grab a few Eaten Blizzards of their own.
Yeah, and fat nades coming out from Jaxcast. We've seen some very solid nades come out from...
Ooh, but that, no directional influence from Chomp. Beach launches them right off the map, but a huge D.Va Bomb comes in. Bulldogs, again, flexing with the one ult fight victory here. It's going to be stall time for Team Ragnor, who unfortunately have lost this fight so close with the percentage-wise. They have to get to this point immediately, and they're going to have to pop the trans.
Yeah, the trance pretty much the only thing you can do in this situation just to buy a little bit more time. Not going to be effective in the long run, most likely.
Yeah, it's going to be trickling out of spawn time for Team Ragnor, who, in the face of a shatter, which doesn't catch anyone, but only because they were already dead. Over time, going to come down, and Bulldogs has begun their comeback.
Yeah, Bulldogs definitely looking through like they do not want to end it here. They do not want to end on a 3-0, and so far they're taking it to Team Ragnor, really trying to hold up, and I think that we might be seeing a resurgence here. However, one map is not nearly enough to really determine that on, so we're going to be taking it to the second map.
And if there's any map that would be useful to have a Reinhardt on, it's going to be this Shrine. With that teeny tiny point set there right in the middle, and not a lot of unreachable high ground to speak of, except for that one lip as you come into the main square. Pretty much every hero can do what they need to do to move about the field.
Yeah, and in this situation, we do see a Pharah every once in a while because there is no high. She's able to basically be the only one to hold high ground. However, looking into the reality of the game currently, both teams bringing out a Reaper as well as the Winston, so perhaps both teams not necessarily thinking the Rhine is going to be essential, well, Ragnor not having the choice.
Bulldogs just running a flat-out dive. Yeah, Ragnor, they're still going to be sticking with that triple support, though the quantity of damage they're able to put out, maybe Guffum will be able to turn that tide for this one.
Yeah, I think that knowing that the Reaper is going to be in play, you might like to see a Brig or a McCree, something to get the stun potential out onto the Reaper should he get too close to Spark. It's going to be close as well.
Handling their inner Jonak, and that's going to be a lot of head clicking coming out from Team Ragnor. Love seeing that. And it's weird, you almost saw a dive go out just a little too late with the D.Va unable to come up and protect their Winston, and that showed how that fight went out.
Yeah, and really in that situation, if you're the Bulldogs and you see that Ragnor takes point presence first, you have to dive, and that really puts the onus on you, which means that Guffum is able to just bunker down, try to anticipate where the dive is going to go, and then just barrel stuff those tanks. And once those tanks get within, I'd say 5 meters of him, they are going to be shredded finer than literal pulled pork.
Yeah, 2 shotguns does a bit better than a food processor. I think they picked up on that because Bulldogs are going to switch over to a Pharah, unassisted by a Mercy. But again, the Queen of the Skies, nothing to counter her except possibly Jaxcast. But Guffum, the ground war is already won with nothing to contest them. Pharah can have the sky all she wants.
Yeah, and with this Pharah comp, I think you might want to take it a little bit slower. It's a risky thing to do when you don't have point presence, but you don't want to be allowing your team to lose the ground war too immediately. You want to open up with that early Pharah damage. Again, make Jaxcast have to focus you if you have to, and then and then pounce the team, knowing that the focus from this main support is going to be between shooting at the Pharah or healing their team.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be something Bulldogs is thinking about. They are going to drop the Winston in favor of the Reinhardt. Yeet's going to stay on the Brigitte, so there's that famous shield wall coming in. They're going to go for point almost immediately, too. And despite Ragnor coming in on the backline, the rotation was there. And Guffum gets stunned out of his Blossom, but it's not going to be enough because Beach went primal.
Yeah, TubeSock also doing what good divas should do, really providing some relief from that Pharah, taking them out early into the fight, eliminating one angle of attack, and once that's gone, it's so much easier for the man-up team.
Yeah, Pharah a bit susceptible on this map. Again, there's a lot of open area, not a lot of high ground to contest, and wow, Team Ragnor just about to take this map from Bulldogs, but I think they got caught a little out of control. The Diva Bomb goes in, it almost gets caught, and it is going to grab Zarya, but Ragnor is still going to be picking up the kills left and right, though not while the transes are rocking. With the route barriers coming in for Bulldogs, they still have a shot at this point.
Yeah, both ults coming out for both supports, Chomp and Yeet. Perhaps just trying to buy as much time as possible, but it's not looking like it's going to do them too much good. Chomp taking a nap, and that's it.
Chomp getting slept and then booped away from the point. It's, you know, sometimes it's enough to just get them off the point rather than kill them. And that's going to be taking Busan to point 3, the Mech Bay, one of my favorite crazy maps in the entire game.
Yeah, this map is always kind of a bittersweet thing. If you play a lot of against a lot of concussive heroes, Pharahs, Lucios, Hammonds, even Winstons with their ults, you have to be really careful of that wide open hangar door. Make sure you don't get ejected from the base. Otherwise, I think it's a little bit more standard. You can set up for perhaps Ryan Zarya, as we see Bulldogs doing right now, and it can work just as effectively.
Yeah, but you know, it's a military facility, so maybe, you know, being ejected from the map, that's just, you know, it's them doing what they need to be doing. Also, I really love the flight takeoff here, but control point unlocks in 20 seconds, so here we go. Almost a mirror composition coming out, except one team gets to have Lucio, the other team gets to have Lucio, yeah. And no Ryan from the other side, so here we go. Let's see if the Winston can overtake his massive German counterpart.
Yeah, it looks like Chomp will be swapped out for Spark, that Brig going in place of the Zen, and that might make the difference here as, well, I would say Chomp would be much more useful for the opposing team, having the dive tanks.
Yeah, and there you go. Bulldogs take the point with no resistance from Ragnor, and then they start the cleanup with a tank and a Zenyatta going down early. Chomp is going to fall, so Ragnor going to be staying in this fight a little with their ridiculous sustain, but I think as the kills start coming in for Bulldogs, we're going to be seeing a full retreat.
Yeah, I think that's definitely going to be the case. A lot of self-control from the team of the Bulldogs, having that capability to hold off on waking the sleeping Diva, and just really allowing them to fight around that. Yeet in particular, basically dancing on the Diva's chest while shooting at the supports of the of Team Ragnor. It's going to be some good self-control, and I think it'll really serve them well. Yeet already having that ult, I think, kind of speaks for itself, ready to kind of get the drop on the team, as we have seen Reapers do so far in the series.
Yeah, Bulldogs being very bulldoggy, going full melee in that fight with tons of kills being finished off with the fist. Maximum DPS, but here it's going to be Ragnor taking a bit of the spin around there. Guffum almost getting a full back cap as a Blossom goes into the backline of Ragnor. As Yeet goes down, though, I think his duty is done.
Yeah, Yeet, I think, needed kind of needed Guffum to kind of take the lead, have the team, have the attacking team try to catch up to him, and then catch the supports in the backline with that Death Blossom. Perhaps iCube's short mat not able to react fast enough. I'm sorry, Jack's cast not able to act fast enough to really get that Reaper out of slept or out of position.
So I think Bulldogs really going to be in their element here. Once again, they're acting from a defensive position, got their ults ready to go. Wow, Kazlogic almost got wiped out by that Diva Bomb, but he's going to make it out. Instead, he's going to throw a bomb out that unfortunately grabs no one, and this is going to be Ragnor's big take back. Though Bulldogs, again, refraining from committing too many ults to a lost fight, and they've done their duty. They're going to stagger this all the way up to that 90s, and that's going to be huge one-fight territory for Bulldogs.
Yeah, indeed, you like to see it. And one thing we're going to have to keep an eye out is the defensive ults from Team Ragnor against what can possibly be some pretty notable ults from Team Bulldog, or from the Bulldogs. We're gonna have the Zarya grab online. Yeet probably not gonna have that Death Blossom up in time unless they really hold off on it. But as well, the Nano Boost, which if they give it to Yeet, can just build up his ult charge rather quickly itself.
Oof, and Doggle has a very tasty grab coming in. TubeSock, though, knowing that that might be coming, maybe they'll be in position or not, but it doesn't look like they are. There's going to be a big nap coming out. It doesn't happen. Yeet's going to have that Nano Boost, going to be building up that ult charge way too quickly. However, iCubes is going to go down. The Nano already dispensed those, so they did get the advantage for this particular fight. But here comes the grab, and Yeet, however, going to go down thanks to a sick fat anti-nade. And here, Ragnor showing their ability, holding onto the point and turning this around.
Yeah, he really wanted to get in there and pop with the grab. Perhaps he got saved a little bit there, getting killed right before the ult as opposed to right after. Still going to have it in the pocket. But that's going to be in parity with Guffum having that ult almost online as well. And he's going to have to deal, Yeet that is going to have to deal with Beach being able to knock him around with the Primal.
I haven't seen a Shatter Blossom combo go off in a long time. I wonder if that's what Bulldogs is going to hit us with.
It certainly will be a little bit easier for them. Winston having that barrier, like we said before, not as hardy nor as on a quick deployability cooldown. So once it's broken, it will basically be free reign for Kazlogic to hit that hammer down.
Oof, though. Beach sacrificed their primal race. The Buffum goes within there and second to grab anything, but Spark is going to find iCubes with a headshot. That's a lot of ults committed from Ragnor, but only one kill coming from someone who didn't press Q at all. And so, unfortunately for Bulldogs, though, that's going to be enough. They're also going to score, but their back streak Shatter goes in, but there's no Yeet who just fell. So they are going to pick up the Ana, but now it's just 2 tanks left on the point, and there's a Lucio to help them out, but it's not going to be enough because Guffum is still there with his 2 shotguns, and Ragnor is going to be looking to take Busan from Bulldogs unless they can get someone onto the point.
Yeah, it does not look like that's quite going to be the case. Yeet popping that Death Blossom, perhaps just trying to get some value from it. Not quite the case, however, that Wraith form able to buy a little bit of time, but overtime's going to tick down, and they need to start getting some kills here if they want to turn it.
They had a situation there, they had 3 of them coming online, and that's going to be Guffum, however, getting yet another Death Blossom because this stall is just lasting too long, but overtime was too strong, and Team Ragnor, holding to the end, is going to move on through the losers bracket.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's something the Ragnor's really going to be hopefully patting themselves on the back for. That was probably looking a little bit tense there with the first map of Busan not necessarily going their way, however, able to regroup themselves and kind of gather it back. I'm sure we'll be hearing from them in the next game and in our post game.
Yeah, really hats off to both teams. Bulldogs mounting a very excellent last stand on Busan, taking the map to its best of 3 conclusion. So that's going to be Bulldogs. We will say goodbye. Excellent game, but Team Ragnor going to move on, and they're going to face the winner of the match, which will be occurring sometime in the future as we get G12 going online tomorrow.
Yeah, indeed. And for our post-game interview, it's looking like Threep's going to be having a word with Jax Cassidy, support from Team Ragnor. I'm curious to hear about their positioning, especially Hanamura seems so powerful for at least 1 or 2 of those holds. Just overall, some solid nades coming out from Jax. I think I would love to hear about what goes through your mind in those times.
Oh yeah, super filthy. So as we wait for Jax to join us here, don't forget, vote for your MVP in that Twitch panel below. As we do the interview, we will calculate for votes, and we will let you, the viewers, know who your voice has been made heard, and we'll get you that results as soon as we possibly can. Meanwhile, we are going to grab, hopefully, the Jax coming in now. JaxCast, pleasure to have you. Congratulations.
Thanks, guys.
So, Jax, on that Ana, what was the first thing you thought of on Hanamura when you had that high ground all to yourself?
Well, basically as Ana, my main concern is just getting out of damage and landing nades. I'm a pretty aggressive nade thrower, where some people play her nades pretty defensively. I play it very offensively, so that's just always in my mind. I might position myself nowhere near my team because of that, and sometimes it works out, and sometimes it doesn't, but most of the time it does.
I think the offensive nature of your Ana was obviously on full display, as I think this the phrase "fat nades" came out a lot as you were commenting. So, how did you feel on Busan going into that best of 3 situation?
Oh gosh. Well, they kept on banning Rhine, so we've only been practicing with Rhine, so we had to come up with different comps, and we had to go back to basically dive. And we were a pretty strong dive team back in the day, and we were pretty rusty, but I think we got it together, the last 2 maps. The first map, not so much, but the last 2 maps we kind of reined in.
So you didn't have the Ryan, but you got it anyways. And yeah, so that sheds a whole different light on those particular fights, not having the Ryan having to fall back on comps that you haven't run in ages. So looking forward into the next map, do you see your team needing anything other than an Ana, or you've just been pretty much the MV Ana of the game?
We do. I did run Zen a few times. I'm an overall support main, but
Preach.
right now we like in scrims, we're just so good with my nades because as soon as I land a nade, we get in and we kill. But if I don't land my nades, that's when I swap. And I enjoy playing Ana. She's my main in comp, so and I think it shows.
Yeah, your confidence is absolutely very well founded. So congratulations once again on the victory tonight. We're looking forward to seeing y'all in the future. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Yeah, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that has been Jax on a very proficient Ana. So we are going to say goodnight. However, before we do, we are going to remind you all the results of the MVP are in. It is Yeet to, honestly, I'm not surprised at all. That was some really solid DPS play.
Yeah, I've said it before, and I'll probably say it every time I cast this player, but they definitely yeeted that wheat. So I think that we definitely kind of saw that come through here a little bit tonight. Not quite enough, it seems, to push through, but you know how it goes sometimes. You take the wins where you can get them, and to yeet, definite congratulations in order.
Oh, absolutely. So this has been 3.007. You can grab me at 3.007 on Twitch and Twitter.
And likewise, Sir Waltham at Twitch and Sir Waltham Gaming on Twitter. Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us tonight. Stay safe.